Hi, my name is Alex and I welcome you to today's video. When I heard the announcement of a Nintendo Switch port for the first installment of the Dark Pictures series yesterday, I was a bit surprised. Not only was the game immediately available in the eShop, but I honestly never expected to be able to play Man of Medan on the Switch. So you can find out how this version does in our review. Something is fishy aboard the Medan, a US warship from World War II. Bodies lie everywhere, their frozen faces still reflecting the fear of death. What happened here? That's what the two soldiers, Joe and Charlie, asked themselves after drinking a bit too much, having ended up in a holding cell and the ship's infirmary respectively, as punishment. What the two do not know yet, despite their visit to the fortune teller, they will meet the same cruel fate as their comrades in the prologue, after first explorations, hallucinations and signs of madness. Decades later, a group of young adults cannot yet guess that their own fate will be linked to the events of that time. Shy Brad, his athletic brother Alex, his girlfriend Julia and their arrogant brother Conrad just want to go on an unauthorized dive to an undiscovered plane wreck in the Pacific. Their captain, Fliss, is not very enthusiastic about this and even warns against it, but she needs the money and therefore lets the troop go. As in Until Dawn, you take on the roles of the 5 protagonists in turn and can search mostly small locations for clues like documents or interact with the environment at designated points, for example to operate a radio, open cabinets or examine objects. In the dialogues you also have the possibility to shape the course of the story and the relationships between characters with 3 answer options. For example, if you react predominantly snippy or derogatory, you won't earn any sympathy points from your counterpart. Many decisions seem quite banal, at least at a first glance, and only lead to minimal changes. Others, however, have a greater influence on the plot and are documented in the pause menu under the term course direction. An example, at the end of the dive you have the choice of returning to the boat without decompression and risking diver's sickness as a possible side effect. Even a short time later one has the choice of playing with fire even further by drinking alcohol or preferring not to do so. Depending on how you decide on such central actions, you will feel the effects more or less clearly. As in Until Dawn, you will once again encounter premonitions that show a possible version of the future when you look at certain pictures, which can happen but doesn't have to. The campaign, which is almost 5 hours long, can not only be played alone but also together. The multiplayer offer covers 2 variants. While you pass the controller between the up to 5 players present during the character changes, in the local movie night mode you plunge into the horror adventures in pairs online and even experience completely different things and places. In co-op, for example, only one of the 2 players goes diving while the other stays on deck and meets the pirates there for the first time. Don't worry, if you play alone you get to see all the scenes. In principle, the multiplayer component is a great thing and works surprisingly well. The only annoying thing is waiting when the other player has to make a decision in the dialogues. Although the response time is limited, it drops the scenes of their dynamics and pulls you out. If you play alone and make the decisions yourself, this is not noticeable. If, on the other hand, you have to wait for your partner, you feel a break in the flow of the game. The technical component of the Switch version is particularly interesting this time. Graphically, you notice the difference to the other consoles, but not as clearly as you might expect beforehand. The normal differences, like a lower resolution, are of course present here as well. The frame rate has to be looked at a bit more critically, because Switch players expect a constant 24 frames per second, which doesn't sound acceptable at first glance. Everyone has to decide for themselves whether that is enough for them. I can only say that it is much less noticeable than expected due to the cinematic gameplay. Besides, Bandai Namco is fair enough to leave a note about the framerate in the eShop page. As a fan of the Dark Pictures series, I was very happy to see the announcement. Despite the ups and downs in terms of technical aspects, horror fans can expect a somewhat trashy but exciting adventure. Accordingly, I can recommend the game despite the framerate and definitely hope that the other 3 games will also find their way on the Switch. For these reasons, I rate the Dark Pictures Man of Medan for the Nintendo Switch a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. If you liked it, we would be very happy about a like and a subscription. Or if you're interested in getting early access to our future reviews, feel free to visit our Patreon page.